how to glitter a basic cup. When I was first starting out and before I had any glitter, before I had any cups, before I had any turner, I looked up how to glitter a cup. I realized that there were many different ways of glittering a cup or applying glitter to a cup. The best way that works for me is the epoxy method. So we're gonna get into that right now. I'm gonna go and do a basic glitter on my True 22. In doing so, we're gonna pretend, just for the sakes of this video, that we've already prepped and primed this cup, okay? And what I mean by that is you're gonna want to take I say about 220 sandpaper and scrape and sand and rub this cup till you smell that steel coming through and you're breaking through the protective seal of your cup. This is going to scuff up the cup, give your cup a nice tooth to allow that epoxy to hang onto it. It's not gonna be so slick. Tumbler companies spray or put a coating on here or whatever it is to keep it nice, new, and shiny from scratches and to prolong the life of your cup. We wanna break through that, okay? So we're gonna pretend that we went ahead and we did all of that already and we wiped it down with alcohol, okay? Because believe it or not, the fingertips has a lot of oil, okay? That when you touch this cup, epoxy likes to repel, okay? So the oil and epoxy, they don't mix. Today I'm gonna be using my nifty cup turner from The Cup Toner. Miss Jamie Moeller is amazing and she made me this beautiful rose gold turner that we're going to play with today, okay? So all in all, I'm going to put my insert in here this way. And this is just gonna go right on to my turner. So let's go ahead and get our epoxy churned. I have part A, part B. All right, I'm gonna take my medicine cups. For 1 cup, I don't use that much, okay? I probably use, I'm gonna say 5 milliliters. So 2.5 and 2.5. And that's probably gonna do it for me. It doesn't take a lot. You don't want to flood coat your cup. All right, put this one in here. All right, that one, and boom, all done, okay. I'm going to take my rose gold stir stick and churn my epoxy. I will say that if you are in the north or a place where it does get cold and you work in your basement or if you're working in your garage, definitely be cautious where you store your epoxy. When it starts to get cold, epoxy doesn't really like the cold weather. It might get harder to pour, it might get harder to mix, it might take longer to cure. So always try, if you have like a space inside that is temperature controlled, think about probably storing your epoxy in there because, I mean, let's face it, epoxy is not cheap. Heavens forbid you are in the middle of a 15 cup order and your epoxy is crystallized and you gotta order some. Oh, and then when you order some, it's all sold out. Oh, no, no, no. Take care of your investment, guys. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to make sure we get all of these little clouds of A and B mixed together real well. And then I'm gonna show you my secret of what I do. Always put on your glove because you never know if you have an allergy to this epoxy or not, and you don't wanna develop an allergy. That would be awful, awful. Okay, let's go ahead and let's bring this cup down in to view. This is my cup turner. Can y'all see my cup turner? It's beautiful, I love it. And I'm going to take my alcohol, okay, because I don't want fish eyes on this thing, and I'm going to rub it. That is my secret little weapon. I use my alcohol it dries pretty quickly, and it will kill the oil on your cup. So you don't have to worry about your fish eyes, okay? Always look at the ingredients on the products you use to try to get cells. I've seen people use Floetrol is what I use, water is what I use. I've seen people use coconut oil. I've seen people use hair products. I've seen people use treadmill oil, silicone. Lots of different things. I use Gaucide, but I use a spritz of it. Like I'm talking like, that's it. Not too much because you will get fish eyes, okay? If I have touched my cup in any kind of way, whether it has already been epoxied and cured, or if I just put a vinyl decal on it, I will always lightly spritz it and wipe it down. I do, because you don't want fish eyes. Oh no, you don't want fish eyes, okay. I'm gonna be using my Diamonds and Pearls Platinum to throw into my epoxy. I always like to add a little bit of bling or a little bit of extra to my cup before I go in. I don't just put raw epoxy onto my cup and then try to do the epoxy method that way. I always think it makes an extra shine when I add a little something something to my epoxy. Little secret. And we have a beautiful luster, I don't know if y'all can see, of silver. Platinum. That's what it is. And it is on the site right now. I'm always super paranoid. I always like over and over and over and just churn my epoxy and churn my epoxy and churn my epoxy. I like to let it warm up just a little bit just to get some thicker coverage. So while it's turning, I'm going to go ahead and just lay my epoxy down. And like I said, I put a little bit of platinum in here just to give it a little bit extra luster, but regular clear epoxy will get the job done just as well, okay? Okay, just go ahead and get it all on there. All right. Beautiful. Take this, wrap it up, throw it away. Next up, let's take our glitter. Now, I like to save my glitter, even though I'm drowning in glitter. I like to save every speck of it. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't waste any of my glitter. And this is our rust. Just nice, even coats. You don't have to just dump it all on there. Just drizzle it on. It's gonna come back around, so if you have a bald spot, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's gonna come back around. Nice, easy little sprinkles is all we gotta do, okay? It's gonna keep turning, just keep your eye on it. Make sure everybody has a little bit of rust on it. Give it a good look. Okay, I always like to make sure I've covered every space of my cup. And then what I'll do at the very bottom, this is a Nicole way of covering the bottom of her cup. I literally, all I do is I just take some and I throw it at the bottom of the cup. Just throw it. I don't take it off the turner. I know some people like to take it off the turner. I don't like to mess with this cup because I'm clumsy and I will drop this cup, okay? So all I do is I just throw glitter at the bottom of my cup until I'm happy with it. And then I tap it just to make sure that everybody has been covered. All right, last thing I do is I come across and I like to pat down my glitter just to make sure that it's laying flat, because you don't want it standing up when that epoxy cures, because when it stands up and that epoxy is cured, it's gonna cut you, okay? And you're gonna have little bumpies. Run your finger along the top. There you go. Just nice, even coverage. Looking good, feeling good, right? Okay. Fabulous, guys, fabulous. So that is it. You have your epoxy, you have your glitter, you have it turning. What is there left to do now? Wait. You just wait. You wait for that epoxy to cure, and then when you're done and it's cured, you come back and you put a thick coat of epoxy. First coat that I always put down on top of my raw glitter is going to be at least 20, maybe 30, depending on the size of your cup. You're gonna wanna put extra epoxy. You're gonna want your epoxy to warm up. If you have had a chance to watch my tutorial on my YouTube channel on my 3-part Milky Way series, you're gonna see that I always suggest to let your epoxy warm up a little bit. That means it's starting to activate. It's a chemical reaction. It's starting to get hot and it's getting thicker. And then that's when I apply it on there. Don't wait for it to get too hot because one, it gets super duper duper hot. Like you can't even like apply it. And then it gets like super thick to where you can't even spread it. It's a nice warm temperature. Not hot, warm. Okay? And you don't want it to just be straight from the churn because then it'll just drip all over the place. You want it to have a thick consistency. Okay? All right. Let me see comments. Praise, sing to it. Tell it how pretty it is. Yes, I have seen. Always make sure your cup is on the turner very, very securely. Whatever you're using, your pool noodles, your footballs, or your cup inserts, whatever it is that you're using, make sure that it is securely snug in there because, oh my goodness, it's happened to me where I've woken up like thinking it's gonna be Christmas morning and it's gonna be all happy and I'm gonna run in there and see my beautiful cup and it is like, it fell off the turner and it's on the ground and it's stuck. I saw someone this morning, his cup fell off the turner onto their carpet and it was stuck on the carpet. It cured to the carpet. Oh, I thought I'd seen it all and I was like, oh my gosh, I would've died right there. Okay, so I think that about covers it. This is the epoxy method. It is easy, breezy, no muss, no fuss. All you gotta do, make sure you have equal parts of your epoxy, churn it real good, put it on your prepped cup, and apply your glitter. I like this method, it works for me. I'm not knocking the Mod Podge method or the tacking method or whatever kind of method you wanna talk to. I just like this one because I like to take my time in putting on my glitter. And I've always found that Mod Podge dries super quickly. So I would always just go back to what worked for me, which is the epoxy method, okay? Let me get to some of these comments. How long do I let it turn? I let this turn before I'm ready to put a flood coat on it. I let it turn, I wanna say about 4 hours at the least. If it's a top flood coat, before I even go to it and turn off that motor, I'm gonna want it to be turning at least 6 hours in regular temperatures. In higher or lower temperatures where it's colder, you're gonna want it to turn at least somewhere from 6 to 8 hours, maybe a little bit longer depending on the brand of your epoxy. I know some epoxies take a little bit longer to cure. I live down here in Houston area, so the area here is kind of warm in my garage, so I can get away with about 4 hours before I can put on a top coat, okay? All right. You are welcome, Jennifer. Yes, when I did that warming up the epoxy or letting it sit just a little bit before I were to apply it, I noticed that I didn't have to use as much epoxy or I didn't have to turn it so many times because I would get that nice thick coverage to where I could actually put a second coat on there, come back once it's cured and be ready to sand and prep it and put the decal on there or seal it or whatever it is and it's ready to go, okay? In case you were wondering, here's how I add my first layer of epoxy. The epoxy I'm using is FX. I always let my epoxy warm up to the touch and when it's warm, I go ahead and I put it on. Nice and thick layer. It's gonna coat every single one of those glitter flakes, nice and easy. I usually put 1 or 2 coats on top of it, let it spin for a few hours and sand it, put your decal on, add that final coat and you're done. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you are not familiar with my Facebook group, Tumbler, Magic, and More, please find me on Facebook. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all later.